The Secret of the Unicorn is the 11th adventure of Tintin by Hergé. The comic was released in daily portions between June 1942 to January 1943 via the Belgian newspaper Le Soir. 48 years after it was published, The Secret of the Unicorn was adapted into an episode of the television series The Adventures of Tintin. And 20 years later, it was combined with The Crab with the Golden Claws for the Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson film. How faithful was the 1991 adaptation of The Secret of the Unicorn? Let's spot the differences. At a street market, Tintin and Snowy say hello to detectives Thompson and Thompson, who are hunting a pickpocket. When the defective detectives discover both their wallets have been stolen, Tintin buys them a bundle of walking sticks. In a joke not added to the adaptation, one of the Thompsons' sticks accidentally hooks a man's suitcase, resulting in them getting beaten up and arrested.
Poor Thompson and Thompson.
Tintin spots a model of a ship and decides to buy it for his friend Captain Haddock. As soon as he purchases it, two men try to buy it from him, but the young man refuses to sell. Snowy accidentally breaks the ship's middle mast. At that moment, Captain Haddock arrives, and upon seeing the ship, rushes Tintin off to his flat to show him a painting of his 17th century ancestor, Sir Francis Haddock.
He looks exactly like you.
Yes, he is good looking.
Sir Francis's ship, the Unicorn, is identical to the model Tintin has just bought.
And speaking of the model,
I didn't bring it.
This moment in the adaptation seems a bit off, as it implies Tintin has made a grievous error by not bringing the model ship with him, yet Haddock was the one who forced him out of his home without explaining why. With that said, Tintin did buy the model with the purpose of giving it to his friend. Our hero returns home to find the unicorn has gone. He reports this to Haddock, who is furious, but in the comic he doesn't launch into a tirade.
Why, those miserable slugs!
I'll mash their brains.
Gotta go, Captain. Bye!
As one of the two men he encountered at the market gave Tintin his address, in case he changed his mind, he visits Mr. Ivan Sakharin, who indeed has a model of the unicorn, but upon examining the mast, Tintin accepts that it isn't the one he bought. Sakharin explains that he has had his unicorn ship for years, and the reason he wanted to buy Tintin's was just for the novelty of owning two. In the 2011 film adaptation of this comic, Sakharin was the main villain, as he is revealed to be a descendant of the pirate Red Rackham, instead of being just a red herring as he is in the original story. The mystery thickens as Tintin returns home to find his apartment has been ransacked, but none of his possessions have been stolen. The Thompsons, who in the comic are still bruised, tell Tintin they saw a man fleeing his flat.
White male, about 5'5", with black hair and a mustache.
The English dub's description of the man is vague and inaccurate when compared to the comic. Thompson says he was only 5'5", meaning he was well below average height. Yet he was clearly taller than Tintin and Mr. Sakharin, which would make the undeterminably aged Tintin about 5'0".
We'll have to keep our eyes open, Thompson. Oh! Thompson!
Yeah, Thompson. I'm downstairs already.
Snowy sniffs out a piece of rolled-up parchment that had rolled under the cabinet when the unicorn's mast broke off.
3 unicorns in company sailing in the noonday sun will speak, for 'tis from the light that light will dawn. The Eagle's Cross.
Tintin takes this cryptic message to Captain Haddock, but finds he has locked himself in his room. Our hero breaks the door down himself in the adaptation, but in the comic he tells the landlady to send for a locksmith. But as he is unable to unlock it, the two men force it open. Haddock explains that his mad behaviour is because he has just finished reading a diary written by Sir Francis Haddock. In 1676, Sir Francis, in command of the Unicorn, was sailing in the West Indies when he and his crew were attacked by pirates. While telling this exciting tale, Haddock gulps down a few glasses of rum, much to Tintin's annoyance. The captain doesn't do this in the adaptation, nor does Snowy.
Look! She's hoisted fresh colours! The red flag! A fight to the death! No prisoners taken!
In the episode, Sir Francis is shown fighting off several pirates, but as the main demographic for this animated series was children, he avoids actually killing the killers, except for one frame of animation.
All hands to repel boarders! Ow!
During a sword battle with a pirate later identified as Diego the Dreadful, Sir Francis is knocked unconscious. He wakes up tied to his ship's mast and meets the pirate's captain, Red Rackham, who mentions Haddock has killed Diego. Diego did not appear in the adaptation, and instead Sir Francis fought Red Rackham himself before being captured.
What booty it is indeed.
That night, while the pirates drink themselves into a stupor, Sir Francis wriggles free of the ropes, kills Red Rackham, and after lighting a fuse to the Unicorn's gunpowder supply, escapes to a nearby island. Years later, he built 3 models of the Unicorn and bequeathed them to his 3 sons, with a message to move the main mast, thus the truth will out, which evidently his sons didn't do.
The maps for Red Rackham's treasure are hidden in the masts.
Tintin discovers that his wallet containing one of the 3 parchments is missing, and pins the blame on a man who apparently bumped into him on the bus. In the adaptation, we see the pickpocketer in action, as he purposely collides with Tintin.
Ah, here's the victim.
To be precise, the victim is here.
Mr. Sakharin has been knocked out, and the parchment hidden inside his model of the Unicorn is gone. His description of the man is just as vague as the Thompsons.
He had black hair and a moustache.
Our heroes return home to find Oliver Hardy waiting for them. Before he can divulge the who, what, when, where and why, the man in blue is shot. The next day, Haddock learns that although the news have reported the unidentified man is dead, he is actually alive, but in a coma. In the episode, Barnaby does at least manage to introduce himself before receiving a dose of lead, and his apparent murder is not revealed to have failed until later. That evening, thanks to a bungee cord, the Thompsons catch the pickpocket red-handed, but he escapes, leaving them red-nosed. The detectives' noses aren't bandaged in the comic, and Haddock sits on one of their bowlers. These 2 sequences were switched round in the adaptation. That is to say, the Thompsons encounter the pickpocket before Barnaby is shot.
My wallet! Oh! Stop! Thief! Oh!
Tintin is kidnapped from his flat by 2 men we will soon learn to be the Bird brothers. In the comic, the villains have hired 2 men to do the deed for them. A distressed Snowy jumps or possibly falls out of the 1st floor window, luckily caught by a passing Haddock. In the adaptation, the dog manages to open the front door by biting the knob. Tintin wakes up in the cellar of a mansion, later identified to be Marlinspike Hall. He escapes by constructing a battering ram. The Bird brothers believe Tintin has stolen the other 2 parchments from them. They are prepared to give him 2 hours to confess where he has hidden them before they torture the information out of him. However, as they chase him through their collection of antiques, Max Bird repeatedly shoots at our hero, damaging their potentially priceless knickknacks, and risking losing the link to Red Rackham's treasure. Only the blacker bird brother was given a first name, Max. His taller, balder brother only has an initial, G. Meanwhile, Snowy is tracking down his quiff-headed companion. In the comic, the poor pooch is splashed with mud by passing cars.
Captain, I'm at Marlin Spike Hall. I need your help. Move! Marlin Spike Hall.
The largest section of the 62-page comic not added to the adaptation is a 4-page sequence in which the Bird brothers and their butler Nestor hunt for Tintin in the woods outside their mansion, using their dog Brutus. Our hero is saved from being bitten by Brutus, first when the dog's lead gets caught on a branch, and second by the dog underestimating Tintin's ducking skills. Snowy saves the day by biting the gun out of G-Bird's hand, changed to Max in the episode. At this same moment, Haddock arrives, followed by Thompson and Thompson, who have handcuffed Nestor. Tintin insists the butler didn't do it, on the grounds that Nestor didn't know who Tintin was until the Bird brothers told him he was a burglar. Given at this point Tintin knows next to nothing about the men who kidnapped him, he surely shouldn't be so quick to rule out that the Bird's butler might have assisted in some of their criminal activities, such as the shooting of Barnaby.
Barnaby's alive? Shut up! It's a trick!
I assure you it's not a trick, sir.
What are we gonna do, Max? We're gonna shut up!
The next sequence is filled with moments which were not added to the adaptation. Haddock hurls a brandy bottle he conveniently brought with him at G-Bird, who was about to shoot Tintin in the back. While Tintin and Haddock's backs are turned, Max Bird jams the Thompsons' hats down over their eyes and flees Marlinspike Hall in his car. The detectives' struggle to remove their bowlers goes on for 3 pages. G-Bird confesses via 8 panels of exposition. In the episode, the blue Bird brother is given a range of emotions, notably fear and regret, as opposed to, as Hergé drew him, with a consistently sullen expression. Max Bird is caught 2 days later.
It all started when we found a model of the unicorn. Shut up! No, you shut up!
Tintin suspects Mr. Sakharin is guilty of stealing the parchments. The adaptation gave the young sleuth an extra brain cell. Thus he concludes that the thing he and the Bird brothers kept in their stolen wallets was probably stolen by the pickpocket. The Thompsons have finally caught the pickpocket. He confesses to being a kleptomaniac who stole people's wallets not for profit but to preserve in his own private collection, featuring an entire shelf dedicated to Thompson and Thompson. In the episode, Silk very easily persuades the dim detectives that they have accused the wrong man, and they turn to leave without even searching his home. Luckily, Tintin was there to once again do their job for them.
Well, obviously you made a mistake, Thompson.
No! Obviously you made a mistake, Thompson.
The secret of the unicorn is revealed, as when placed together and held against a light, the parchments display the latitude and longitude of the sunken ship's location. In the episode, the first and last numbers are hidden by Tintin's thumbs. The comic ends with Tintin breaking the fourth wall by telling we the readers that this adventure will continue in the next Tintin volume, Red Rackham's Treasure. The adaptation ends with Tintin and Haddock repeating the cheerful chant the captain sang at the end of Part 1 and the start of Part 2.
Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum! Red Rackham's Treasure! Here we come! Yeah!